Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ji ki, Jai Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar Ji ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ji ki, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ji ki. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before I go on, it's a very important point to state. I think it's good for us to understand. The word Hare actually refers to Srimati Radharani, so that you get more context to it. When we chant Hare Krishna, we are actually invoking the energy of Radha. The word Hare comes from the word Hara, and Hara is the evocative of the word Srimati Radharani. And Radha is considered to be the energy of Krishna. So this is a very important point, because if we don't understand what actually is the meaning of Radha, then when we chant Krishna, we think that Radharani is simply a lover of Radha, which is not true. Radharani is the greatest and most powerful, enjoying pleasure potency of Krishna. And that is why another name for her is Ladini. Ladini means pleasure giving. So Radharani is that devotee who gives the greatest pleasure to Krishna. And so when we chant Krishna's names, before we can call the name of the Lord Krishna, we call out his most cherished devotee. Why? Because it is the blessing of the devotee that opens the door to Krishna. You see the point? So it's very important for us to understand that actually there is a reason why we chant in that way. So we call for Srimati Radharani, please give us the opportunity to render loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. And that is why you have Hare Krishna, and then Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Then you have Hare Rama. Ram is the name of the Lord Ram. But Rama actually means spiritual prosperity. Not material prosperity, but spiritual prosperity. So there are both names there of God. Krishna, which means all attractive, and Rama, which means spiritually prosperous. So in the entire mantra, the entire point of the mantra is actually to request for an opportunity to be able to be engaged in Krishna's service. That is the whole point of it. Because until we engage in service, we are not dynamic. Very often if we just sit down and try to perform some kind of bhakti, we will find that our attention span and our ability to continue bhakti is very difficult. That's why bhakti always comes with the element of service. That's why when we are chanting, it is dynamic, because you are using your tongue, you're using your ears, you're using your senses, and that is activity. So that's why we are chanting Hare Krishna. Okay? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagya ki, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Yuga Dharma ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaura Premananda. In the Bhagavata Purana, which is also known as the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful origin story for this wonderful pastime of Lord Damodar and Mother Yashoda. Many of us have grown up hearing about the stories of Krishna. The stories of Krishna are not ordinary stories. If you know who the gopis are, and they're very great devotees of the Lord in Vrindavan, the gopis sing a very beautiful mantra to Krishna. They say, Devakinandan tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmasapaham shravana mangalam shrimadatam bhuvi granantiye bhuride janaha. So the gopis say, they are speaking to Krishna. They say, Krishna, Tava Kathamritam. Katha means stories. Amrita means nectar. The nectarian stories or pastimes of your activities, they are not only nectarian to us, but tapta jivanam. They actually provide us and sustain our very lives. And not only are your pastimes so beautiful to hear, but they also have a very beautiful character. Shravana Mangalam. Shravana means to hear. And Mangalam means to be very auspicious. In this material world, what is auspicious to you may not be auspicious to me. In different cultures, for example, they have certain things that they do which are auspicious, and certain things in other cultures are auspicious. But in the spiritual world, everything that's related to Krishna is auspicious. So therefore, what is considered auspicious in the spiritual sense is very different from the material sense. You must have heard of the great king Akbar, isn't it? And many of you would also have heard of his famous advisor Birbal. There is a very famous story of how one day Birbal was not in court, but Akbar was in court, and he decided that he wanted to walk around his kingdom. So as he started walking, he saw the ordinary people sitting around and doing things. And he happened to see a shoemaker, and the shoemaker was cobbling the shoes. And as he watched and watched, because he'd never seen a shoemaker make shoe or repair shoes before, he did not realize that he was going to bump into a pillar. And so Akbar bumped into a pillar and he hurt his face. All the courtiers were with him and they said, "What happened to you? Why did this happen?" And Akbar just very innocently said, "Well, I was watching the shoemaker and then this happened." And his very wise courtiers then said, "The shoemaker is very inauspicious for you, Akbar, because by seeing him, look what has happened to you." In those days, it was very easy for very minor criminal activities, so to speak, to land you in serious trouble. And so Akbar, the courtiers then said, if the shoemaker can be so inauspicious to you, think how inauspicious he must be to the entire kingdom. I don't think he should be allowed to live. So Akbar decided, all right, you're very wise. I'll follow what you say. Tomorrow, this shoemaker should also die. Birbal comes back the next day. He looks at the list of people who are about to be punished. And of all things, he sees the shoemaker. So he turns to Akbar and says, "Akbar, why in the world is the shoemaker going to die?" And Akbar says, "Oh, this one is very inauspicious. I just saw him doing what he was doing, and I injured myself when I walked into a pillar." So Akbar said that, and Birbal kept quiet. Then after a while, Akbar turned to Birbal and said, "Do you have anyone else you want to put on the list?" And he said, "I only have one more name to add, and that's you." Now Akbar became very unhappy. He said, "Birbal, I know you can be very funny, but there's a limit. I am the king, and I don't think I should be hanging. Why do you think I should be on the list?" And Birbal said, "If the shoemaker could make you feel very inauspicious because he was just doing what he was doing, how inauspicious you must be that because of you just looking at the shoemaker must die. And if the shoemaker must die, then surely you must be the most inauspicious person to ever be in this world, because just by someone looking or even being there, they can actually face death. And Akbar then realized a very important thing. What may be inauspicious to me may not be very inauspicious to you. So auspiciousness in the material world is a very relative term. It doesn't mean much. But in the spiritual world, when we use the word Srimad Adatam, Shravana Mangalam, what it means is that whenever you hear spiritual pastimes of the Lord, the vibrations are very different. And these vibrations are so powerful that the gopis say they become very satisfied. That is the most difficult thing to attain in this material world. Everyone is looking for satisfaction, but it is so difficult to achieve. Every time you think you have attained an object of satisfaction, there's always some hankering left in your heart, and you think that you should get something else. But it is very difficult to find someone who is peaceful and happy with what they have. So Mother Yashoda woke up on the morning of Diwali. And when she woke up, like everyone else wakes up for Diwali, she took a bath, she dressed herself very nicely, and then she decided that she needed to do something for the object of her love, who is Krishna. Krishna was sleeping at that time. And because he was sleeping, she felt that this is the best time for me to perform a service for him. And Mother Yashoda decided to churn butter for Krishna. As she churned butter for Krishna, which is a very ordinary activity, her thoughts were not ordinary. Her thoughts were very spiritual. Because even while she was performing a mundane activity, she was remembering all the pastimes of Krishna. You know, the pastimes of Krishna can be spoken day after day. This whole month, I think we have had 32 programs now and counting, right? And we will have 39 or 40 programs by the end of this week. We've just been going house to house, we're just saying the same thing, but nobody's getting bored, right? My son has been moving with me, since day one, and he's surviving. So it shows that spiritual topics are very powerful. They're very powerful. And therefore, Mother Yashoda was remembering the pastimes of Krishna. And as she remembered the pastimes of Krishna, the more she remembered the pastimes, she didn't feel the labor of churning butter. Most of us would not have had the opportunity to churn butter. But if you have seen your grandparents or if you have been to India, you will realize churning butter is a laborious activity. It is not simple, right? In those days, women, they kept themselves fit with all these laborious activities. No need for the gym, no need for anything artificial. It was very natural. So Mother Yashoda dressed herself nicely. She had so many maidservants. But the point is, she didn't ask anyone to do the churning of butter for her son, because she wanted to do it personally. This is the first element of bhakti. Bhakti means devotion. When you perform devotion to the Lord, you cannot outsource it. You can't expect someone to do a service on your behalf. It has to come from you. You have to make the effort. If you don't make the effort, then you are not establishing a relationship with the Lord. It's very simple. So Mother Yashoda put that heart and soul, and she started churning butter. And as she churned butter, she was very happy, and she was remembering Krishna's pastimes. You and I can sit down and talk to each other about each other's pastimes, but we won't last. In 5 minutes, we will lose interest in each other's pastimes, because our pastimes are not very interesting. Most of the time, it's about complaints. But Krishna's pastimes are very beautiful. So Mother Yashoda then decided, let me churn butter for Krishna, and let me remember him. And as she was churning, Krishna woke up, and he came out of the room, and he came to Mother Yashoda, and he started indicating to her, because he was very young, and he couldn't speak very well. He wanted milk. So Mother Yashoda stopped her churning, she put Krishna on her lap, and she started feeding him milk. And because Krishna was actually taking milk from her, Mother Yashoda became extremely blissful. This taking milk from Mother Yashoda, right, is actually a very symbolic point. Anytime we get into physical contact with Krishna, or even spiritual contact with Krishna, that contact brings a lot of pleasure for us. In Bhagavatam, that is known as Brahma Sparshanam. Brahma Sparshanam. Sparshanam means to touch, and Brahma means transcendental. So anytime we get touched by Krishna, either by hearing about him, Now all of us are performing the act of hearing. Hearing is as good as feeling Krishna. Because Krishna is absolute in nature. You and I are not absolute in nature. We are relative in nature. Which means we will live for a while and we will leave after that. But Krishna is eternal. God's nature is that He is eternal. And therefore whatever He does is absolute. It is stated that God can eat with His eyes and He can see with His mouth. That is the meaning of absolute. But you and I can't do that. We can only use our eyes to see. So the moment Mother Yashoda fed Krishna milk, she became extremely blissful. But now she had a dilemma. Mother Yashoda had put milk on a stove in a pot, and it was in the kitchen. And it was boiling over. Now she needed to save the milk because it was meant for Krishna. But if she put Krishna down, she would have a problem because he was not fully fed. And if he was not fully fed, chances are he'll become very upset. So what did Mother Yashoda think? She thought, maybe it's best for me to put Krishna down for a little while. And then after that, I can save the milk for him, and then I can go. So Mother Yashoda did just that. She started walking to the kitchen, and she put Krishna down. Now the moment she put Krishna down, immediately Krishna became transcendently upset with his mother. Why do we use the word transcendently upset? Because actually God is never upset. He's always peaceful. But Mother Yashoda's relationship with God was in the form of a child. And therefore Krishna played the perfect form of a child. You don't expect a child who's hungry to lie down there like a sadhu, isn't it? A child would not do that. Children by nature are restless. It will be remarkable if the children in the crowd today are like yogis. So far they are, but it will be quite remarkable. Forget children. It's difficult for even adults to pay attention for more than 10-15 minutes unhindered. Isn't it true? Every time somebody walks through, the immediate reaction for all of us is to see who has walked in. It's very hard to stay in focus actually. It shows how difficult it is to stay focused. And so Mother Yashoda was very different. She stayed focused on her service to Krishna, but she had to save the milk. So Krishna played the role of a child, and he became angry. And he decided, let me punish my mother for putting me down and not finishing feeding me. He picked up a stone and he broke the pot that she was churning butter in. Now remember, Mother Yashoda was churning butter for Krishna because that was what he loved most. She was also worried about Krishna on Diwali day because everybody who was around her in Vrindavan was always complaining to her that Krishna would go to their houses and he would steal their butter. And that's why Krishna is known famously as the butter thief. And the thing that Mother Yashoda was concerned about was, what's wrong with my butter? I have the best cows, I get the best milk, and with all my love, I make butter for Krishna. He loves my butter, but he still goes to everybody's house to steal butter. But what she didn't understand is this important philosophical point. Actually, Krishna is not a thief. There is nothing that doesn't belong to Krishna. In fact, there is nothing that actually belongs to us. If everything belonged to us, then logically, that which belongs to you should be with you for perpetuity. It doesn't, because you don't live forever. And very often the thing that you keep will outlive you, because it's inanimate by nature. Your bank balance will stay where it is when you die, but you will die. And therefore you cannot take your balance. Anybody who has been born into this material world, and that includes all of us, we were not born with the degrees that we got from our previous birth. And whatever degrees and wealth that you have amassed in this life will not come with you after this. It will be just left here. Everything in the end belongs to Krishna. So when we say that Krishna was a thief, the only thing he was stealing from the residents of Vrindavan was their hearts. Because their hearts were always ready to serve Krishna. And Krishna would steal their hearts with his love for them. And he did that by stealing butter, which was very relishable for them, you see. So every mother in Gokul and Vrindavan actually secretly prayed that Krishna will come to their house and take something from them. But when he came and did that, they would go to Mother Yashoda and say, see, Krishna stole butter. And Mother Yashoda would call out Krishna, Krishna, did you steal butter? And Krishna would stand there and look very innocently at her with butter all over him, and he would say, Mother, I never stole any butter. And the gopis who heard that, they would start smiling, even though they were supposed to be upset. Mother Yashoda would try to conceal her smile because she was supposed to be upset, and Krishna would get away with it. This is the exchange of love between the devotees and the Lord. God is so kind that in whatever relationship you prefer to relate with Him, He is able to take that relationship. If you're old enough to see Him as a child, then He will relate to you as a child. If you are in a position where you would want Him to be a confidant or a friend, like Arjuna and Krishna were on the battlefield of the Gita, He would become your friend. If you wanted Him to be your father, He would be your father. If you wanted Him to be your spiritual master, He will become your spiritual master. The gopis wanted Krishna for their husbands, and therefore He appeared to them as their lover. So you see, Krishna is always ready to reciprocate, provided you are ready to take the steps to Krishna. That's very important. So Krishna broke the pot of butter, and he realized then that he was in trouble. Like most children realize they're in trouble after the event, isn't it? And so after the event, Krishna decided, if I hang around here and Mother Yashoda comes out, I'm going to be in trouble. So Krishna decided to run away from the scene of the crime. And Mother Yashoda comes out of the kitchen, and lo and behold, Krishna has disappeared. And only the butter is left there, strewn on the floor. Mother Yashoda decides, today is Diwali, and I think I have to discipline Krishna. At this rate, he will become a juvenile delinquent. At this rate, he will be a professional thief. At this rate, he will never be disciplined. Now that's a mother speaking, isn't it? And so Mother Yashoda decided, let me pick up a stick. Because when he sees me, he's never scared of me, but he's scared of the stick. So I'll take the stick and I'll walk in, and I will discipline him today. And it wasn't difficult to find Krishna because he had stepped on butter, and so it was easy to follow his footprints right into the storehouse where all the pots of butter were left, hanging high up, deliberately, so that Krishna would not touch them. But she saw an amazing sight. If you can see this murti, which you will see later, you will see that Krishna is tied to a mota. In the storehouse, there was a mota, and Mother Yashoda saw Krishna had climbed the mota. That gave him height, isn't it? And he was tiptoeing just enough for him to reach the pots. And he was breaking the pots with another stick. And he was taking out butter copiously. And butter was flowing all over the storage room. And to her surprise, Krishna was not alone. Krishna was there with his best friends from Vrindavan. And they were the monkeys. The monkeys of Vrindavan and Krishna were very close. Obviously, they were playmates. They were obviously mischievous. And they were always up to something. But what Mother Yashoda did not realize as she saw before her a beautiful scene. Krishna was taking stolen butter, stolen from his own house without mother's permission, but he was generously offering stolen items of food to all the monkeys. You know, you've heard of this point that there is no honor among thieves, isn't it? You've also heard about this irony that thieves become very honest when they share stolen property. That's what Krishna was doing on a spiritual level. He was sitting down with the monkeys, he was feeding them nice prasad, which was butter, and they were feeding him, and they were completely happy, blissful. And Mother Yashoda was standing at the edge of the wall near the door with the stick, and she was watching. But what appeared to be an ordinary exchange of mischief between two parties was actually much deeper than that. Because our scriptures tell us that these monkeys were no ordinary monkeys. They were the Vanaras from Ram Leela. In Ram Leela, you know, Lord Ram had the beautiful service of the monkey army of Angada, Sugriva, Hanumanji, and so many, right? They looked like monkeys, but in proper terms, they are known as Vanaras. Now, when Lord Ram conquered Lanka, and when he had vanquished Ravana, and the monkeys had actually served him so well, he became so happy with them that he asked them only for one thing. He said, I'm so pleased with you that I ask you to ask me for anything that you want. Ask me for anything material that you want, and I will give it to you. And these Vanaras, these great devotees, they said something very beautiful. Nanaka Prishtam, Nachaparameshtam, Na Sarva Bhaumam, Narasadhipatyam, Na Yoga Siddhir, Apunarbhavamba, Samanjasatva, Virahaya Kamshe. They said that, my Lord, we do not want the higher planetary systems, the lower planetary systems. We don't even want dominion over earth. We don't want to be liberated from this cycle of birth and death, nor do we want great siddhis. All we want is an opportunity to serve you life after life. So the next time you come back, give us a chance to serve you. This is the mood of a devotee. How you cement your relationship with Krishna is based on what you ask of him. Asking material things is what we call fair weather friendship. Fair weather friendship is when you come out of your seclusion and reach out to your friend every time you need something from him. We all have fair weather friends, don't we? People will call us once a year, twice a year, and you know when they call us, it's always because they need something. They're never going to call us because they love us or because they want something from us. Sometimes our relationship with God is very transactional. Every day when we sit before him, we're not interested in developing a relationship with him as much as we're interested in asking him for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is fulfilled, oh, then we are very good devotees of the Lord. Imagine if you had children like that, who only come to ask you for things and never ask how you are, what do you need, are you alright? After a while, yes, you will be a good mother, you will be a good father, but you will be disappointed with your children. Because your relationship is very transactional. And yet, we don't realize that we are doing this day in, day out practically with God. A quick arati, or when things are really going bad, we increase our devotional service. When I was young and I started taking up this devotional process, and I started chanting Krishna's names, my mother would know exactly when I would be having exams. Because that's the time my chanting would increase. Okay, fine, your exams are around the corner. And then she would also know when my exams were over, because suddenly the chanting would end. And that's my time with Krishna. And then my mother knew when the results were coming out, because I would be chanting very hard the day before. And I did not realize at that time how transactional my relationship with Krishna was. I was just reaching out to him so that he could give me something. That is not love. That is transaction. So therefore, we have to understand that the reason why we don't have a deep relationship with God is very often because we have a transactional relationship with God. At the very most, it is superficial. But God is so kind that he can still be your order supplier. If you want something, he will give it to you based on your karma. But he will not give it to you based on his blessings. They are two very different things. If you want to come under the law of karma, continue asking him for material things. You will pay and you will pay. Because whatever you get, you have to pay for. But if you approach Krishna with bhakti like Mother Yashoda and the monkeys did, not asking anything from him, then you will gain true peace, true satisfaction, and true happiness. That is the real relationship with God. That you are actually having a relationship with him, not because you need something, but because your desire is to serve him. And so the monkeys became very happy, and Lord Ram became very happy with them. And he said, when I come back as Krishna, I promise you that you will come back, and I will also give you an opportunity to serve me. And so these monkeys, who look like ordinary monkeys, were great devotees. And Krishna fulfilled their desire to serve him. In Ram Leela, which was in Dwapara Yuga, he came it was in Treta Yuga, he came in Dwapara Yuga as Krishna, thousands of years later. And yet Krishna never forgets a promise to his devotee. Very important point. And so the monkeys became very happy because they were served by Krishna, and they became happy because they served Krishna also. You see the exchange of service? And then Mother Yashoda appeared. And when they saw Mother Yashoda, they decided enough of service, time to run, leaving only Krishna behind. When Krishna turned, he realized that Mother Yashoda was right there in front of him. And he knew now he was in big trouble. Instead of standing there and saying, Mother, I give up, Krishna jumped off the motor and started running away from his mother. Mother Yashoda thought, this is going to be a difficult Diwali. Now I have to run after Krishna. But look at Krishna here. He's very small. And she thought, it's not difficult. Krishna will run for a while, but eventually I will catch him. And so she started running after Krishna. Just when she was going to catch the dhoti of Krishna, Krishna would be half a meter away. Just when she thought she was about to catch the little arm of Krishna, he would be 2 meters away. And the more she ran after him, the more she couldn't catch him. And she became very tired. She was not exactly a professional runner. And she thought this running would be very short. But she was running all over the place. But she couldn't catch Krishna. But what she didn't realize was, the yogis are trying to catch Krishna. Great sadhus are trying to catch Krishna. The demons and asuras out of envy are trying to catch Krishna. But it is not an easy thing to catch God. God can give you things if you want. But to give himself is a different proposition, very different. And so Mother Yashoda at that point of time surrendered to Krishna. She said, Krishna, I'm getting very tired and you're too fast for me. Please allow me to catch you. And when Krishna heard the love and devotion that his mother had, he surrendered to his mother. This is known in Bhagavad Gita as Ye Yata Mam Prapadyante Tam Stataiva Bhajamiyaham. To the extent that you surrender to Krishna, to that extent Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. And Krishna is very kind. When Mother Yashoda surrendered to him because she felt helpless, Krishna became the helpless child and he surrendered to his mother. So Mother Yashoda didn't catch Krishna with her ability. She didn't catch Krishna because she timed her run and she caught him. She didn't catch Krishna because her stamina exceeded Krishna's. She caught Krishna because of her devotion. That's the point. And after Krishna was caught, if you come forward, you will see him here, he looked very afraid of his mother. And this is amazing. God is so powerful that it is said that even fear personified is fearful of God. And yet here he was, like an ordinary child, shaking with fear because Mother Yashoda had a stick. And he thought he would be punished. And so he was shaking with fear. Bhagavatam is so precise in the description of Krishna that it says, Mother Yashoda would put ointment on his eyes, kajal. And in the morning, she would put it very richly for Krishna. But now that he was crying because of fear, all the ointment was washing away with the tears. And Mother Yashoda felt very bad. Oh my God, my poor son. I didn't want to make him feel so bad. I will not punish him. I'm going to put the stick down. And if you come close to the deity later, you will see just next to Mother Yashoda is the stick. Right? She puts it down. When she puts it down, she says, Krishna, don't cry. I'm not going to punish you. But you're still very naughty. And I still have work to do on Diwali. So I'm going to tie you to the motor. Okay? Any of the children here been tied up by your mothers? Not yet, huh? But it's a thought. It's a thought. I'm not planting ideas, but it's a thought. So Mother Yashoda said, I'm going to tie you, Krishna, just for a while, so that I can finish my work, because you're such a restless child. So Mother Yashoda took some ropes, took Krishna to the motor, made him stand there, and he became very obedient to his mother because he was still looking at that stick. And then Mother Yashoda brought a little bit of rope around Krishna. Krishna's not very plump. He wasn't an obese child. But he was plump like the way children are. And so she brought the rope around him, but she found that it was 2 inches short. She brought more rope, but it was still 2 inches short. She thought, this can't be happening. It's not logical. She went to a neighbor's house, and the neighbors were all gopis. They loved Krishna. And she said, can I borrow some rope? And the neighbor said, why are you asking for rope? And she said, well, because I'm trying to tie Krishna. They said, you have so much rope in your house. She said, that's the thing. I can't tie Krishna. It's always 2 inches short. They said, we'll give you rope, but can we come and watch what's happening? The tendency for human beings generally is that when something is sensational, we all want to watch it, isn't it? And sometimes what we do is, when somebody else's business is not our business, we make it our business. In the material world, it's known as gossip, isn't it? When 2 people come together, when they speak about a third person, by definition, that's a gossip. In the spiritual world, there's plenty of gossip. But the gossip is very spiritual. It doesn't disturb us because it's always about 2 devotees coming together and speaking about Krishna. You see the point? It's completely different. What are we doing now? We're all gossiping about Krishna. Because we're all sitting down and we're talking about a third person. And that's Krishna. But the gossip is so sweet because it has nothing to do with matter. It only has to do with love. So the gopis were very happy. They wanted to see Krishna. So they all came to Mother Yashoda's house. And she tried tying him. And with all the ropes, it was 2 inches short. And for the second time in the day, the first time was when she was running after him, Mother Yashoda became very tired. And she said, Krishna, I've worked so hard to tie you. I can't believe I cannot tie you. Now this pastime started early in the morning when she churned butter on Diwali day. By afternoon, she was chasing Krishna. By late afternoon, she was trying to tie him. There was nothing much left in Diwali. And she was still trying to discipline Krishna. So she said, Krishna, please allow me to tie you. I can't go about doing my work until I tie you. Mother Yashoda's determination to serve Krishna attracted the Lord. Her surrender and her mood of humility also attracted Krishna. And Krishna decided, let me be bound by Mother Yashoda. Krishna is known in our sastras as Ishvaraha, Parama Krishnaha, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is the most powerful, he is the origin of everything, and he has no origin. And yet, he allowed himself to be tied like an ordinary child. Why? Because these ropes that Mother Yashoda used were not ordinary ropes. They were the ropes of her devotion. They were the ropes of her love. And therefore, Krishna was tied by the 2 inches that were short. The first inch is the endeavor of a devotee. Today, Mataji and Prabhu have kindly put in so much hard work to organize the program. How much a movement there must have been, right? The furniture got moved, right? So much arrangements were made. She had called me weeks before, so it was on her mind. And then she invited all of you. And you could have done anything on a Sunday morning if you wanted to. But you made the effort and the endeavor to reciprocate with a devotee, to come to hear about Krishna. This is the first inch of the rope. It is your endeavor. Your endeavor will attract the second inch of the rope, which is the mercy of the Lord. Mercy is always there, but it is endeavor that attracts mercy. And endeavor means you must be attentive to Krishna. You must be very attentive. See, we are hearing about him today, but we are hearing about him in a very attentive manner, and this attracts Krishna. And one last point our Shastras brings up is very important. Where there is attention to the Lord, eventually there will be attraction for the Lord. There must be first attention. The Sanskrit word for attention is matihi. Matihi means to put your consciousness on something. When there is Krishna matihi, then there will be Krishna ratihi. Rati means to be attracted to or attractive. So if you want to become attracted to the Lord, always become attentive to him. The more attentive you are to Krishna, the more naturally attracted you will become to him. It's a simple formula, and it will work. If you are attentive to his needs and what he wants, he will give you the mercy to become attracted to him. This is very important. Some people say sometimes that God is not fair, but God is very fair. His mercy extends to everyone. Otherwise, even people who don't believe in him, if he was not merciful, he should withdraw oxygen and he should withdraw water because you don't believe in me. But he doesn't do that. There are hundreds and thousands of people who have no conception of God, but they are continuing with life. But that's because of his mercy. This is something we don't understand. A simple example is a barren land and a fertile land. Water is pouring indiscriminately and equally across both lands. But the barren land, no matter how much water comes, you will never see crops growing. Because by nature, the land is barren. But if by nature the land is fertile and ready to receive the rain, then that same rain that poured on the barren land will yield so much fruit in a fertile land. Is it the fault of the rain, or should the land inspect itself? So is it the fault of God, or should we introspect on our mood towards him? This is the question we should ask ourselves. So Mother Yashoda tied Krishna finally, and the pastime ends beautifully. And then she went inside and she performed whatever activity she could do, thinking that Krishna was bound. But Krishna allowed himself to be bound by her love. So in this pastime, there is the rope, which is very famous. But if you think about the pastime, there are two ropes in this pastime. The first rope is the rope that the monkeys tied Krishna with years ago when they served him as the Vanaras in Ram Leela. And Krishna never forgot that. He was bound by them. And the second rope is the rope of Mother Yashoda, who bound him with her love and her devotion. So actually, if we learn to develop this love for God, and if we make this love dynamic on the basis of service, then we will develop a rich relationship with God. And that relationship will be so satisfying. There is nothing in this world you can absolutely control. You can't even control your own blood pressure. What to speak of controlling, your life, your health, your jobs. You can't control anything. You're at the mercy of so many people, I'm a lawyer by practice, right? So people think, being a lawyer gives you that, that ability to do so many things. I'm at the mercy of the next judge whom I appear before in the next trial. I may think I have the best case, but at the end of the day, so much depends on the judge. Judge is not in a good mood, and judges are human beings. You have a judge who doesn't hear you, your best case is over. You have a judge who doesn't see your point of case, good luck to you. So everyone in every profession, at every corner, may appear to think that they are in control. But factually speaking, they are not fully in control. Because if they were, then you can control birth, death, old age, and disease. No one can control this today. With all our advances, we still cannot control it. So the best way to develop peace is not through control. It is through surrender. The more we surrender our time and effort to Krishna, the more you will have this deep relationship with Him. And I say this not only for us as adults, but it is your duty to give this culture to your children. If your children develop deep faith in God, then no matter how difficult they may face an obstacle, they will have the requisite faith to see them through it. They will never lose hope in life, and they will see life from a very different perspective. Please, take this back. Think about it. That's the whole point of these kathas. They are not meant to be just pleasing to the ear, and after prasad we go home and we forget about them. The longer these things linger in our minds, the more serious we become about devotional service. Thank you so much, Mataji and Prabhu, for having us over. Now we come to the fun part, and that is you are all going to light lamps and offer it to the Lord. This lamp that you are going to offer, it actually signifies the illumination of knowledge, and it signifies the illumination of your understanding of who you are in relation to God. Because without the lamp of knowledge, we are always in the darkness of ignorance. Now, Mataji may also have shared with you, or you may have copies of the Damodar Ashtakam, right? Okay, good. Maybe we have some copies.
We have some hard copies as well.
You have some hard copies? Did you also send some of them on WhatsApp?
Yes, I can see it.
Or what you can do is this. We're going to chant a very specific prayer. You can take out your devices and you can just Google Damodar Ashtakam. That's it. This is the only time when taking out your phones are very useful, right? Take them out, Google Damodar Ashtakam. And when you Google them, it will be very easy. You can then chant the mantra with us. Damodar Ashtakam. Okay? It's very available. Then, Mataji, what you will do is, everyone can come forward.
Okay.
And they can do it. I think what you can do is, you can have 2 by 2. It's all right. 2 persons can stand, they can light,
okay.
And that will make things a bit faster also. Okay? And when you light, please remember this beautiful story and chant Krishna's names. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Kule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Kule Brajamanam Yashoda Biolu Kaladhava Mahanam Paramrishtahamadyan Tato Dhrutya Gopya Yashoda Biolu Kaladhava Mahanam Paramrishtahamadyan Tato Dhrutya Gopya Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Kule Brajamanam. Your turn.
Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Kule Brajamanam
Yashoda Biolu Kaladhava Mahanam Paramrishtahamadyan Tato Dhrutya Gopya Mamrijantam Haramojayuge Nasatankanetram
Rudhantamumurnetram Mamrijantam
You can come forward.
Karamojayumena Satakanetram
Muhuswasakampa Trirekha Sita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Bhagam
Nuhoshwasakampa Sthita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Bhagam
Iti Drikswaliladi Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajan Tamakyapayantam
Iti Drikswaliladi Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimarjan Tamakyapayantam
Tadiyeshikanyeshu Bhaktai Jitaratvam Puna Prematastam Sakaviti Vande
Tadiyeshitaneshu Bhaktai Jitatvam Puno Prematastam Shatavriti Vande
Param Deva Moksham Mokshavadim Nachanyam Rineham Varishadapiha Haribol
Param Deva Moksham Nam Mokshavarim Va Nachanyam Praneham Varishadapiha
Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virasanti Mande
Idam Deva Punartha Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virasanti Manye
Idam Te Mukhamojam Adyantanilai Vritam Kundalaiste Dharataischa Gopya
Idam Te Mukhamojam Adyantanilai Vritam Kundalaisti Dharataischa Gopya
Muhuschumbitam Virmartadaram Me Vanasya Virastam Alam Lakshalabhe
Mohosumbitam Bimbarataram Me Manasya Virasa Alam Lakshalabhe
Namo Devaha Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhu Kajalabhimanam Haribol
Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhu Kajalabhimanam
Kripa Drishti Vrishya Tidinam Batanu Grahanesha Mama Nyavedakshi Dishaya
Kripa Drishti Krishyati Dilambadanu Grahanesha Mama
Nyavedakshi Dishaya Kuveradmajau Bhaddha Mutyaiva Yadha Tvaya Mochitau Bhakti Bhajau Kritau Cha
Kuveradmajau Bhadra Mutyaiva Yadva Kaya Mochitau Bhakti Bhajau Krutau Cha
Tatha Prema Bhaktim Swakam Viprayah Cha Namokshi Graho Me Stidamodareha
Tata Prema Bhaktim Swakame Prayacha Namo Shri Graho Me Asti Damodhareva
Namaste Sudhamne Spuradipti Dhamne प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे हरे
Shri Yashoda Damodar Ji ki
Jai.
Jai Kartik Maas ki
Jai.
Jai Vrindavan Bhumi Dham ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanande. So I hope you had a very blissful morning, lighting lamps and offering them with great devotion. Please take this back with you. Kartik Maas will end on the 15th of November, which is on Friday. It's practically 15, 16, it's about the last day on the calendar. Every day you can light a lamp and you can put it before Krishna in your own houses. And just remember this beautiful pastime and take this back with you. There is no loss in spiritual life. Please, always remember that. Yoga Kshema Mahaviham. Krishna will protect what you have and he will give you what you lack. None of us who have taken up this process of spiritual life seriously, we have never found ourselves wanting anything. We are not in scarcity, we are in abundance. So there is no loss to taking this up seriously. Sometimes people think that when you take this up seriously, you become full-time pujaris or you're full-time sadhus. And it's not the case. We lead very normal lives, but our lives are centered around Krishna. And my greatest worry when I started my journey in this was, see, I'm born in Singapore, my parents are born in Singapore, my grandparents are born in Singapore. So 3 generations we've been here. And if you have lived in Singapore, you'll realize that if you're not in touch with your culture, it's very easy to quickly lose it. But today, I've been traveling to India since the 1990s on behalf of iskcon. And I'm in India very frequently. But I've realized, even in India, it is so easy to see that our culture is so quickly going. We look like Indians, but we have no idea of our culture. In fact, we are trying so much to emulate everybody else's culture that we have no understanding of what our scriptures have. And if the adults don't have understanding, how in the world do you expect your children to be connected? They will look like Indians, they will dress like Indians, but they have no idea what Vedic culture is. They have no idea. So this is a very important thing for everyone. And the last thing we want is to lose it. We have such a rich culture, and our culture is non-sectarian. It is not about being a Hindu or a Muslim or a Catholic. Anyone can offer lamps to Lord Damodar. Nowhere in the Gita does the word Hindu even come. The word Hindu doesn't even exist in our Vedas. It doesn't, right? It is Sanatana Dharma. Therefore, it doesn't belong to a Hindu, it doesn't belong to a Christian or a Muslim. God belongs to everyone. But you have to make an effort for it. And if we don't do that, our children will just lose it. They will lose it just like that. Which is why in our programs, in our center and all, we have a very active children's program. We have a very active youth program. We have so many youth, so many children who are well integrated in society, working, earning, studying, doing whatever. But they have good grounding in understanding who they are in relation to God. That is what we need. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Mataji. Satyadan, where's Prabhu? Is he around? Oh, Prabhu, thank you so much. Thank you very much for everything. And now they will take good care of you, and we have to run for the next program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.